Hi everyone, welcome to SOP podcast. Today I'm so excited, not exhausted.
Exhausted. We need to have a conversation.
It's been a long day.
Yes.
Anyway. So I'm so excited to host Klaire. Klaire has been a good friend from way back, but I'll let Klaire introduce herself kindly.
Okay. So I'm Klaire Muriithi. I go by the moniker the Brand Titan, and for good reason. I strongly believe I am one of the few good marketers left in this country, brand marketers, and I'll explain why. It's been 15 years in the marketing industry for me, and I have loved everything I've done. I started from the bottom, is not a joke. I literally started by selling Alvaro in the trade.
Alvaro.
Launching Orbit sugar-free professional gum in the trade, in the supermarkets back then, Nakumat. Moved into the Safaricom call center. Grew out of that role, moved into BAT, kuuza sigara, yeah, brand sportsman. I managed brand sportsman as an executive when I was promoted into the team in HQ. Led a lot of strategies there together with my boss, Ken. Moved then into Coca-Cola. They poached me to work on Minute Maid back in the trade. Did Minute Maid well. Launched Share a Coke in Kenya and shared, I think there was a name Steven somewhere on a pack. Okay. Somewhere back in the day.
That was behind you.
But
the brain behind
I was in the large team. I think we were over 100 executing that across the country.
Okay.
And then did a lot of good work there with Coca-Cola and just managing football executions. Safaricom poached me to grow Lipa na M-Pesa in Safaricom business. Launched Little Cab.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yes, powered by Safaricom. That was a beautiful initiative.
Yeah.
Then moved into Safaricom Platinum team to just increase value and bundle customers to be buying one bundle that has voice, data, and SMS,
yeah.
right? As opposed to just buying airtime and going.
Yeah.
Did that well, supported the Safaricom Home Fiber with their rollout. It's a lot.
It's been a journey. It's been a journey.
Now I'm here. So I'm currently the senior marketing manager at DPO Pay by Network. I'm quite new. We'll talk about that another day. But my work there is to just see if we can grow our payment solutions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very good, insightful introduction, if I may put it. But we want to break it down.
Okay.
Okay, so let's flip back.
Yes.
Before we get in the set, first of all, I want you to tell me which is one of your favorite countries that you've traveled to and you are like, oh wow, in my older years, I want to come back. I want to bring so many people here in this country.
Oh wow. So I'll say I don't do well when I travel. In Europe especially, I really struggle to adjust. The first 3 days, I feel like I'm getting malaria, I really struggle. I think it's just the weather. I struggle. I love what God gave us. We're on the equator for a reason.
Yeah.
But I say favorite country that stood out for me is Congo, specific to DRC.
Okay.
I was in Kinshasa for some work with British American Tobacco. I used to manage a brand equivalent to Sportsman called TF, Tobacco Filtre. Mid-value brand that just used to deliver well on good smoke. And it was a very national pride brand. So when I went to DRC, I when people talk about potential and then you see it.
Yeah.
People are so vibrant, people are so warm and welcoming. They're so open for business, clearly open for business. And that was in 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2014. So 2013, right? Because I left BAT in 2013. I feel like DRC is on the verge of something great in Africa. But the challenges they've had, the internal wars, and you know what's going on there with all the minerals going to the wrong places or to their colonizers. Yeah, that's
really paid.
Yes, really holds them back. But honestly, Kinshasa is one to watch. Kinshasa and Lubumbashi in particular, one to watch.
Oh, that's
friendly people. Kenyans are friendly, but there's another level of francophone friendly that they have that is
out of this.
They make you feel very warm, very, very warm.
I need to travel there. I think
Please.
I need to tell my people to take me. Please, people, take me there. I am suffering.
Yeah, come collect. So we make sure that this can be viewed by them. Come collect. They'll come for you. Be very careful.
Exactly.
Uh,
That's very interesting because I've also had to travel out of the country on special occasions, sometimes for work, but also sometimes for leisure. Europe was amazing, really amazing, but when I go back to the colonization story, I don't want to talk about what I saw there that was so huge.
Yes.
But then you see how that beauty deprived us the essence of our humanity back here in Africa. So that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, we won't be able to finish it today.
We'll revisit it.
Yeah.
But personally, I'm thinking that the country that touched my heart that I always want to go to is Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
That is special.
They have a place called Budia Beach, and we guys prayed about Diani here. Sijui, you need to go to.
Is it better than Diani for real?
I think it's amazing.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's amazing because, like you see the way you leave Diani Beach and then you go to Kisite Mpunguti and then you go down Uko. So for Dar es Salaam, when you get to that Mbezi, there's a place called Mbezi. So in Mbezi is such a huge beach, and then now you can pay let's say like 300 shillings.
Yes.
Then you go inside the island.
Okay.
And Uko sasa is where sherehe.
Yeah, Steve, ni sherehe tu, mano. Ah, jamani.
Exactly.
We've arrived. That was the verb.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
they're doing something good.
they are doing something good, and there's so many socio-economic issues that I think we need to have a conversation on. But also that is a conversation
for another day. I feel like we should print for you a t-shirt another day.
I'll print it and I'll share with you.
No problem.
When I'm inviting you for the next
Sawa.
podcast. But let's get to it.
Cool.
Our topic today on this podcast is brand authenticity. You know, I come from the lake, so saying sometimes
it's like for us, R and L. I understand.
So the topic of today is brand authenticity.
Yeah.
And I want us to go back to personal journey. I personally learned about branding and brand authenticity. And this was during Bob Collymore days. Oh, Bob, may you keep resting. You have such a special space in my heart.
Yes.
Because I learned how Bob took Safaricom as a company and made people love Safaricom. I still love the Safaricom that Bob was the lead, you know. And the reason why I'm saying that, I learned how you handle them. I used to shoot most events for Safaricom during my agency days.
Yes.
And as part of the task was to just sometimes follow Bob or go to events that Bob is going to engage with employees, customers, and even government officials. It was a very special moment of my life, equally. But one thing that stayed with me, there's an event I shot. It was in Ole Sereni. I don't remember the name of the event. But Bob was talking about, Bob said that, I was telling employees that when you're driving to work, respect people walking to work. Because they're all going to work. And if I ever get a message or see a video that one of you splashed water on people on the road, you go home.
Yeah.
So that's my journey with brand authenticity.
Yeah.
You know? And then now with the events that I covered. So let's flash it back to you. Where did you learn about branding and brand authenticity?
Why did I learn? So first of all, I studied in school. My major is, I have a Bachelor of Commerce in Marketing Option. And when we say marketing option, at KU what they used to do is there was a full suite of brand specific courses that you had to pick to pass, right? Did that very well, you know. Dean's list, you know, I did that well.
You don't say.
Yes. And then part of the MBA that I did, which I need to finish at USIU, was my MBA was in, my master's actually of science in marketing major, right? So then of course now the brands I have worked for that have had such a rich heritage in brand building from the get-go. And I'll just start with British American Tobacco because that's where it starts. If you think about how old Sportsman is, I don't even think I can see how old it is. It's been here for long. And then managing the Dunhill brand, that's a very strong British heritage brand. Coca-Cola, Fanta, Sprite, brands that people have had for over 130 years.
Yeah.
So that has really, really helped me, start from, I didn't start from ground zero with my schoolwork, and then you start practicing, and then you have to keep learning. Because one of the things that happens in the career is you have to learn. I set aside 2 hours every week, and I've been doing that since I was a brand exec. Because what's happening is you have to keep fresh and you have to keep studying.
Yeah.
And now one of the things I'm struggling with is brands in the world of AI.
Yeah.
I was telling your crew the other day, I was struggling with finding, I did not have money for a voice. I needed a Christmas video. I didn't have money to shoot and produce, and neither did I have the luxury of time. So I had to default to use AI. And I was wondering if I've done the right thing, because that voice that was there is American. All of them are American. There are no African AI. There are no African AI. And if there is, there's possibly Nigerian with a lot of pidgin. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering, okay, I've seen the gap. We need AI for Africa. Yeah. We need AI for Kenya. So whoever it is that is building, please, which camera?
This one.
Please, find us. DM us. We experiment. We support you. We help you to sell. Yeah. We have to get to that level. So yes, brand.
And now talk to me about a bit of your experience managing when you're at the green company. Not so much.
Yes, not so much.
Period.
Yeah, during the Bob period. I was quite happy when I met Bob at the final interview. There's an interview, he insisted to see the kind of people that were coming in.
Oh, wow.
So we'd go in batches, and then once he meets you, then you get the letter signed off with his name. So when we were going around the table, I think we were a room of 7, he said, "Are you ready to come here from Coca-Cola? Are you sure you're ready?" I remember asking him, "Wait, what do you mean by that?" He says, "Let me tell you something about here. We are beautiful. We are a force to reckon with. When we have competition at our shows, we gang up and head on to the competition." Right? Yeah. If somebody comes from our market share, if they release a campaign, we counter, right? Because we have to protect ourselves. But then again, when there's no competitor activity, we eat ourselves. And he actually said it. And he was coming from the point of, he knew that where I was at Coca-Cola, it was very focused. The culture was amazing about working with the bottler systems to roll out stuff. So he was very aware about the very competitive environment in Safaricom when there's no main competitor and you compete amongst yourselves. What in essence he was saying is, prepare yourself for the chaos. He was absolutely chaotic. No day in Safaricom was ever the same. And they used to say, there's a joke we used to have in the brand team. Why is it too quiet? When you ask each other, Allah, don't even say it loudly, because tomorrow there'll be a new campaign, new brief. We've got a license from BCLB, we have to roll. So I loved it. Bob's leadership, human. Bob, I genuinely believed that first take care of the employees and they will take care of your people, your customers. And he did that well. Safaricom had one of the best health and wellness programs.
Yeah, I remember that.
Insurance was top notch.
No, talking of health,
Gym.
Let me
yes.
Not help, but let me
add
to what you're saying, because I remember that at the time I was documenting an event, and then I don't even remember the nature of the event. Still.
It's a long time.
Yeah, but also I remember Bob giving lactating women a 6-month...
A creche, a 6-month maternity leave.
Yeah.
And also there was a creche, so I could go in with my daughter. Yeah. If I don't have a nanny that day and she needs to go somewhere, there's an event, I don't have to worry. I'll come with my daughter, sign in, leave with everything that she needs. I go upstairs, I'll come in at lunchtime, she's fine. We'll go home together, she's fine. I mean, people, he was all about people, creating also environments where you can push back. Bob was happy to listen. One of the first things he did, I remember, I was like, hey, who is this guy? There used to be an executive lift in HQ that only the executives then could use. He came, So after a few days, he realized when he's in that lift, no one else gets on the lift. So he's like, so he asked randomly, how come you guys don't use this lift? So he was told, we're not allowed. By who? He was so upset. He said, can you all be using this lift? We have 3 lifts in a building of 6 floors that houses close to 3,000 people. Why are we only using 2 lifts? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he's like, no. And he sent an email. There is no executive lift. It is used for everybody. It even used to have a key or story, Kesha. And he loved the brand team. He loved saying, we need to sell our network. We have to sell our network. So one of the things Safaricom then used to do was marketing the network. And if you look at the Nikona Safaricom campaign, it was really about that, showing the breadth of the voice network and connecting Kenyans. He was really about transforming lives. It was not a joke. You know, he used to say, customers have to be able to call each other. That's being authentic. And so when there's an issue with call drops, who do I go after?
Yeah.
Just now I've come and I was pissed. I was trying to call you. Yeah. I couldn't get you. It was just going dead, right? Mm-hmm. That would not have happened on Bob days. And if it did, it would have to be fixed. Yeah. He used to check the network. Where the network is down, find out what the issue is. And he would really fight to invest for rolling out 3G, 2G sites, 3G sites, 4G. The results speak for themselves.
We say the track records.
It speaks for itself. I genuinely feel Safaricom, the brand, is going a long way now, benefiting from the investment that was done even before Bob's time. The foundation that Michael Joseph set, and then Bob came and catapulted it with the M-Pesa.
This right here to say Aliwa, he murdered the plan.
Let's just say, he brought himself to the table. Yes. Yeah.
I like the way you put it in the corporate way. He brought himself to the table.
He did.
Talking of that, I think for me, that's how I started learning about brands and brand authenticity. But for people who don't know it,
I know.
Who would want you to break it down? What is brand and what is brand authenticity?
Okay. So, brand is just how consumers view your brand from their point of view, because you have positioned it in a certain way, right? So right now I know you're drinking the red drink that we call Coca-Cola, right? That's a brand. They've done a lot of work to figure out what mix goes into developing this pretty brown drink that's very sweet and sugary, and then how it's packaged and presented and then sold into the trade, and then how they tell you what it does for you. That's just what brand is. But when it comes to brand authenticity, that's where the rubber meets the road. Yeah. The word authentic just means that you're legitimate, truthful, trustworthy, correct? And also that you're original. So brand authenticity means how that brand is continuously living the brand values that it claims. Okay? And then there's another layer, which is the hardest, let me tell you. Not everyone has figured it out. How consumers perceive you, that brand. Is it honest? Is it genuine? Is it truthful? Sasa, most people get the first part. The second part is where things go, I can say the word to shit. Yes. Yeah. You will curse. Uteka tu ile. Bleep. Yeah, that's the hardest part. I'll give you an example. One of the most trusted brands in the world is I'm from Kikuyu land. Patagonia or Patagonia? The brand that sells jackets, right? Apparel for guys who are into mountain climbing and all that stuff. Yeah. That brand says that you don't need to do over consumerism. You know, all this, there's a fad of people wanting to buy clothes every day. Yeah. They're saying, in fact, they had a campaign, don't buy this jacket. They make jackets, but you're telling somebody, don't buy the jacket. What does that mean? They're saying, before you actually buy clothes, do you really need it? Question yourself. In short, they're saying, protect the planet. Protect the planet, because what happens to all these clothes that are not used? Some of it comes here and it's secondhand, but can you imagine the landfills? You know, clothes are not biodegradable. What happens to the earth? How many people are in the earth right now? 6 billion jackets. Maybe you possibly have 100 outfits. So there's possibly how many outfits in the world?
A lot.
Where do they go when they finish their work?
Yeah.
So Patagonia, please correct me, you'll write it here.
Write it down.
Is big about saying stop over consumerism, protect the earth. And guess what? 1% of their revenue since they started goes back into supporting environmental causes.
Oh, wow.
So that's being brand authentic.
Yeah.
Saka sahi, umefungua bottle ya Coca-Cola sahi. How would you have felt if inside there was a straw? Would you have drunk it?
No.
That's what it means to be brand authentic. You have said this thing is sealed, it's protected from, and produced properly. Hakuna shida. And if there's an issue, you should be able to call Coca-Cola for them to fix that.
And so now, based on what you have shared, okay, do we have elements that people can look at and say, this is how to make my brand authentic, you know? Especially even for SMEs who are even trying to get access to market, you know, and there's everything happening, and they're still trying to figure out what can they do.
So how to navigate that system is really just first, what do you do? What does your brand do? So if you're an SME and possibly you're in the manufacturing place, let's just say detergent, right? What kind of detergent are you making, as an example? Is it one that makes makes clothes smell good? Or is it makes clothes smell good while still looking very clean? All the dirt is gone as long as you use my detergent. So there, you start from there. Yeah. Defining what your product will deliver. Then manufacturing what the product is supposed to deliver. Yeah. So looking for all these ingredients that will help me figure that out. Once you've done that, now you go to somebody to help you communicate what this brand does. And then now making sure your entire system of employees or people you've hired, including your suppliers, understand that they can never step out of
that.
Yes. So what are the things to deliver? Chances are it's quality control, right? You have quality control internally who handle what is the issue here. If something is not passing your quality tests, it never gets out to the trade, right? Because it's not. If you've made a mistake, maybe there's a batch that has expired, or maybe KEBS have rejected it. Yeah. How authentic are you to say we own the problem, we'll recall it back, I'll refine my customers. So it's really just figuring out the full journey, understanding where your risks could be, because things will always go wrong. Yeah. Right? And then being authentic. Can you imagine a brand that you're supposed to, let's say, I saw these rats, panyas in Nevers. You see? It was going around last year. It was such a thing on TikTok. So there was rats infestation in one of those Naivas retail outlets, the food section. Guys went crazy, right? I don't think I remember Naivas coming back to say, oops, we are sorry, that specific outlet maybe had hygiene quality issues. This is what we will do to fix it. And if they did, that's a good thing. But me, I only saw the problem. I didn't see the solution. Yeah. Because to be fair, you're in a cooking and cleaning environment. Chances are maybe those rats were not theirs. Maybe they're from the neighbors. You know, but
they're just rolling around.
They're hungry like us. They just can't trade. Yeah. So you know, those are the things now. If there's KQ and there's a flight delay, and this is why I struggle with that brand. Yeah. How do you treat customers when you're telling them, Hakuna, your flight is not going to make it here on time? Where do they sit? Where do you treat them? Or you just duck and disappear, because that's what some of them do. Yeah. They don't have the right update, so they duck and disappear. Your flight passes and moves on. Yeah, you miss your connecting flight. Which is who's going to pay for it?
Nobody will take responsibility of it. So talking of that now, I think now that you're already mentioning names, and I think these are conversations that are in the public domain.
Yes, it is.
And it's okay to have these conversations. Because I told you when I was asking you to come for this podcast, it's first we are Kenyans before we work within an organization, you know? There's no any other thing that can take away my nationality because I'm working for a particular brand. So, then my citizen right is taken away because I don't need to speak on things that
No, and I have the freedom of right and expression.
Yeah.
As passed by the constitution that was promulgated in 2010. We're fine.
Yeah. So let's delve into it, because this is where I'm really looking at. And then let's have these several case studies. I'll mention each from perspectives you've shared online, and then let's delve into them. Okay. The first brand that I think I want us to have a conversation about is the green company. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but let's talk it out. Yeah,
Yes.
and that during the Gen Z protest,
Yeah.
the CEO of Safaricom came out and said, we have not cut down the cables. You know, the undersea cable had a problem, a technical problem, and it was not working. And then I don't know. There's a reputable.
I think they're called net. They do what you call internet oversight, internet connectivity
oversight. And they
oversight.
came online and said there was no cable, there was no undersea cable that was cut. You know, and this was a time that this country was in a very
I understand. Yeah.
tough
place.
Tough
We
place.
still
You
are.
understand?
Yes.
We still are, but that was a very crucial moment
Yes.
of us. And now, how, using that as a case study, first of all, how do you define the authenticity of such a brand? Okay? And secondly, how do you think it should have been handled? You know, probably they're trying to do quality control, you know? But also, how do you think it could have been handled?
Yeah. So one, I feel for them, and of course I went after them on LinkedIn.
I know, I saw it.
This is unacceptable. So I genuinely feel they had no control of you know, the cable cut or the let's just say internet connectivity for the country. I don't know what statute covers for disconnecting a country where there's an issue to limit control of information. I doubt there's a statute, but unfortunately it's a practice by governments. All right, I genuinely feel where they are, considering Safaricom is a listed company, and I know where they're sitting, where the government also owns. Treasury shares Safaricom, right? And where they sit with the number of customers, they had a moral responsibility to say what was going on. It's the how and the delivery that was an absolute nightmare. It was inauthentic. If you even look at the body language on that video that Peter had, he looked very hard pressed, and I don't know who advised them that they need to use that as the reason, because that was not the reason. You know, we're in a place where in the age of social media and connectivity, you cannot control misinformation on your own and hope that it will not get caught. This is not 2010. Actually, this is not 2007. The reason the 2007 election violence happened was because there was no control. There was control of communication. We didn't have smartphones.
Yeah.
We only had phones, and I know that time the government shut down. Lakini sasa, you have everybody's a content creator. Shoot, open, camera, record.
Action, yeah.
TikTok, bundle ya 10 bob.
Yeah.
At some point, that information is going to get out. So I think what they should have done is to say, you know, Airtel went through the same thing, but did they say anything?
Yeah.
They just said there's a disruption in our communication. That's all they needed to say. Let the customer figure it out. Because when the internet oversight people now came to say there was an issue, there's a reason, you know, there's a reason that's covered there. It said government authority.
Yeah.
She say, we are so sorry, this happened. There was disconnection of our information, even we did not have access to. You see, now what would have happened? The consumer is very discerning. We say, oh, sio Safaricom, tukuje. And so then that set off a lot of unresolved brand issues that became so magnanimous.
Yeah.
So magnanimous.
Yeah.
And now even this role that they're playing in the showers and the shifts, all of this is spiraling out of control because consumers are now saying, oh, so you're in bed with the oppressor.
Yeah.
They will continue facing that until they decide what the direction is.
And I also think until they also decide to be authentic with people who give them the jobs they're having. You know, I am saying this categorically because I am Kenyan first. I am Kenyan first, and while sometimes they say you need to understand your politics, sometimes when politics are oppressing people you are. I saw Sam Gishuru, I think, the former owner of Nylab, or the co-founder of Nylab.
Yes.
He said that corporate companies need to make a stand when
On the recent abductions
on the recent abductions.
and the state of the economy, yeah.
Yeah, but okay, just to say this, the Safaricom is just okay. I will not say that, but I'm just saying in relation to what you are saying that what some was saying was brands need to start having conversations with themselves about how systems or policies are affecting their customers and have a leader who can voice out concern. One thing about our late beloved Bob was he once said there's something he wanted to install an Eiffel Tower, not an Eiffel Tower, these towers for network.
Yes, a BTS, we call
BTS.
it base tower station.
Yeah. So, but then there's a chief who wanted some money to be given. And then he just said, "I will not give you money. I'll call your boss." So he called the president, and because that tower had taken way longer for it to be, and it was not going to even help the company. It was for the community. So he called the boss, and the next day there was like 10 officers making sure that project comes to completion. So that is just one of those plans I think we needed to highlight.
You're right. Brands. So I worry because actually I've featured it on my LinkedIn feed to say we have to get out of this funk. Brands and corporate companies are hiding. You cannot wish what Gen Z is going through away. And now it's not Gen Z, it's Gen Zote. We are clamoring, and I say we because I'm in the mix, all of us. We are asking for better accountability of the taxes we pay. We're saying don't overtax. Could you also just use what you have wisely, right? If a project, let's say there's a 300-kilometer road that has stalled since 2019, where has it stalled? Where are the funds? How do we recover that mismanagement of funds and then go back and now roll it out properly? We are hosting Chan. Are the stadiums finished?
Oh,
Didn't we have a deadline, guys? December 31st. Are the stadiums finished? You see, we're saying what we have can run this country. I was listening to Senator Onyonka who's saying our current income in Kenya, right, even with our debt challenges, should be able to run 5 East African countries without debt. I'm like, oh, Kenya is big. And then so now then the abductions come in. Abductions, and give me a camera. Which one do I use?
This.
Freedom of right and expression is entrenched in the Constitution, okay? There is nowhere it says how to express your freedom of expression, right? We have come from days where Moi himself used to watch the show XYZ. That was caricatures of, the Muppets that were actually using comedy to highlight the issues Kenyans were facing from the political class, right? We've come from a place where Gado used to use his art, right, to speak to the issues Wanjiko is facing. So abductions in this country have been enabled, and anyone who is silent about these abductions is in bed with the oppressor, because silence is consent. I understand where brands and corporate companies will hold back because you're not sure they'll come for you. Oh, now all of a sudden you'll be told you owe us X billions in tax, right? I get that. But if you cannot speak as a team individually, what are you doing as the brand for your voice to be heard to the people that are doing this? You, with your tax, I'm sure there are companies combined that pay a lot of tax in this country. You want to tell me that they cannot have a round table behind closed doors to say, guys, hii maneno isha? You want to tell me KEMSA, what are they called? Not KEMSA, wanaitwa nani? Kenya Private Sector Association cannot sit and say, guys, or the Nairobi CBD, those are the only ones talking, the Nairobi business community, guys, this has to end. Pressure has to come from everyone. Whether it's in the form of private door conversations, and actually come and say, as a Safaricom or as a telco, or I make rice, my consumers we're saying we want to support Kenya to have the freedom of expression. We are worried about the ills that are happening in this society. We are happy to come to the table for a solution, which is now what the church is doing, isn't it?
Oh yeah. And,
the church has finally woken up.
Listen, I want us to stay there because I want us to discuss selling Kenya as a brand. You have traveled, I've equally traveled, okay? And I saw the other day when the president went to Burkina Faso.
To Ghana.
To Ghana.
Yes. for the
that
inauguration.
The president of Burkina Faso was saying that, how do you tell me that democracy in some countries, they actually said some countries, they're abducting young people, and that is what is considered as democracy. In the other side, in our side, we are saying we don't want this, but we want to make sure that our people are safe, secure, and have enough food supply in their country.
You're right, and that's what goes back to brand authenticity. So then the if you look at the founding brand values for Brand Kenya, not that they're written anywhere, they're actually expressed in the national anthem. Peace, love, unity, God bless this country. Hardworking. Hamkeni ndugu zetu tufanye sote bidii. We're hardworking Kenyans. At 5 o'clock in the morning, what do you see when you're driving?
People are already on the
Kenyans
streets.
are hardworking.
Yeah.
Even when we export Kenyans to other places, we get a lot of feedback that our work ethic is outstanding. So then now you say that, and then what we're seeing as actions from a country are going against the values that have been entrenched in not just our constitution but by our founding fathers. So, and it's interesting, it's not just this regime, it's all the way from the Moi regime, even Kibaki's regime had experienced this. So now, the difference now is social media. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you something. That thing is, there's now something called an age of cynicism. We are all, I don't use the word woke because woke is, that other territory. We are, I don't want to use it, but we are in a world where there's so much societal pressure, there's so much misinformation, but there's access to information. Yeah. If I want to learn something, I just Google. Now, whether my Google results is actually true or not, I have found that information. I can spend a tweet and it goes around the world, right? So how is it South Africans have come to our rescue to say, Allah, hold on. The South African news journalist who tagged Raila to say, Allah, you clamoring to be the Africa Union chairman seat, I don't remember that role, but your people are being abducted and here's the one, you've said nothing. Remember what I was saying about silence is consent? That tweet went so viral. Then Larry Madowo, of course, now continuing with the stories and the amplification of what the issue is. So what worries me is we're celebrating the release of some of these kids, but we still have over 70 are missing. Where are they?
Yeah.
There has to be change.
I mean, let's stick there. I love this, and I definitely, if there's a moment in my life, is this one. I've always wanted to have this conversation because I equally love Larry as a brand. I know he's a journalist. He worked with when he was at the Nation. Yeah. I think Larry made my TV days to be so powerful. Like, I can never forget that. And Larry Jambi, the trend at that time. I hope you watched the trend. Yes,
I love. We all grew up on the trend.
Yeah.
Like if you have a new song, you're an artist and you're not on the trend, my friend, I'm not sure. I'm not sure you've launched. Because you need to be trending.
Yeah, you're not on the trend. But here is the thing that I've personally love about is authentic. Him as a brand. Because he has consistently said, first of all, he said he doesn't want to cover Africa positively. He wants to cover Africa. It's correctly.
He says correctly and honestly.
Honestly.
Yes.
Yeah. But him as a brand, for now, if Larry tells me, Jemo, if Larry tells me let's go to work in Kiamaiko, I will follow Larry. Because I know deep down in his mind there's nothing as planned beyond going to Kiamaiko and just walking through there.
That's another authentic brand. So I've watched him and I've studied him and I've followed him. Larry Madowo's brand authenticity is what has fueled his career. He says it like it is. He walks the talk, right? He will share stories that celebrate Africa and Kenya, right? But also where there are challenges, like the recent abductions, he will amplify those stories because when you amplify and you put voices behind the voiceless, change happens. And so that's the thing about brand authenticity, right? It's not just a company or a brand, even an individual.
But also,
Even an individual.
how do companies, because sometimes you could be authentic in a company, then the politics in a company draws down your authenticity.
Okay.
So you want to act because uko tusemangi vitu kama hizo, uko tuongeangi. For those who don't know what I'm saying, we don't talk like that here, we don't say things like that here.
Yes.
So how do you also as an individual maintain your authenticity when you are in, because I think authenticity is also a bit tapped on someone's personality.
Yes, it is. So for that one, usually I say the spirit of the leader is the spirit of the team, right? If there is that culture and level of fear that they don't want to push boundaries X, or they don't communicate in that way, it means there's been leadership, or there still is leadership that allows for that fear to thrive. So then if it's not in your brand values, if you're in a place where your authenticity is not being appreciated as a value add to the brand you're working for, I said this in a gaming forum, press eject, leave, start working on your plan and exit, because I promise you there are employers who absolutely love that brand authenticity. You should think about it. You know, we were saying the other day, isn't God's plan amazing that Larry Amador is in CNN at this time? Who would have told our stories? Yo! Yes, Al Jazeera are doing it. But who would have told our stories?
Yeah, like
who? The local media? No. Not that way. Who would have told us? So CNN then is actually a very authentic brand in that sense, that they clearly allow for this truth to be told through the power of their platform.
Yeah, and oh God, I'm now feeling a bit emotional. Because then if he was not there, getting to international spaces
would have been a lot of work. So you're right. But then also now the leaders, let's say you're a leader, you found yourself in this thing, you're now a CEO, you've come and discovered, Allah, I'm sorry, 1 minute. Mr. Sound, I apologize in advance. Sorry. So you come and you have the goodwill to turn things around. Then you come and realize, oh my goodness, huku ni politics tu bwana. So as a leader, you have to be the one to set the tone. That brand authenticity comes from inside. No one else can do it for you. You're aware, right? So let's say, as an example right now, let's say you're in a car manufacturing business and you've rolled out 1,000 pickup trucks. Of these 1,000 pickup trucks, 500 have failed gearboxes and so have caused accidents. And it's been traced back now to manufacturing. What are you going to do in that moment? Are you going to run, decide and hide, or it is not us? Or do you own the problem and say, we are so sorry, we're going to work with authorities to get to the bottom of this and come back and update us. We found that there was a problem with our manufacturing line here. We have since got rid of all the problems here. We have replaced it with here. And for all the people who've lost their lives or their livelihoods through those accidents, we have replaced with X. So brand authenticity comes at a very huge cost. You have to put money behind it. You cannot be authentic and you're not willing to spend money. I'm serious.
Okay, stop laughing.
You know, Kenyans, first of all, we have a problem. We love shortcuts. We love shortcuts because life is hard. Yeah? So, or you don't want a very long process. Or also because you know corruption thrives in long processes. But I am sure you sit somewhere, you know people are doing something, even on a marketing campaign. Let's say you work for a telco, let's give the green brand a break. You work for a telco in Uganda, you have a campaign that says, if you spend 1,000 Ugandan shillings, you will get 50 GB. But somebody in your team is saying, hey, it's not 50 GB, it is 48 GB. No, we've rounded it up to 50. What do you, what? You get what I mean? We've rounded it up, 50 is better to say. I'm like, no, give the 50,
yeah.
Or we say we're giving you 48 GB.
Yeah.
No, 50 GB sounds better. At that point, who will rise up to the occasion and say, excuse me, no, this cannot happen. So,
and
leaders...
also, how many people are you taking the 2 GB away? If we have 3 million Kenyans using your services,
Right.
then that is 2 times 3. That's 6 million
GBs that you've taken
taken
away.
away.
So, I mean,
Oh wow.
have
This
you
is-
created an environment where your employees can actually make check and say, okay, hold on, I know there's pressure revenue here, but Bob used to always say one thing: reputation of your brand comes before the revenue. When you fix the brand reputation, guess what? The revenue follows, because the consumer is like, oh, hiya, you said 100 GB. Oh, shucks. In fact, it's 100 GB. It's 101 GB. Oh, you've even over-delivered. Oh, I walk into customer experience, I am treated like a king. Ala, mimi ni msee, nimetoka Pokot, hata sina viatu mzuri, naogopa kuingia. No, ingia. You've come to my community. You've fixed our cow, what do you call it, where people, cow dip.
Yeah.
You know, those are the things that is being authentic.
Yeah.
That you're delivering functionally, you're meeting the emotional benefit, and then that you're involved in the community. So the brands here that are not authentic, I will not mention them. You know yourselves. You take money from Kenyans, take, but you don't plow back in the society. Mnadu. If we say boycott, what are you going to do?
Inject.
We reject. We have to get there.
I want to ask you, because I don't know if you heard this story from a former, not a former, but this is one of the reputable hotels we have in this country, because it's called Serena.
Yes, I know.
So Serena had an employee who had worked there for a while, and I don't know if something happened to him, and the organization said they're going to pay him, and then they did not pay him for almost 10 years. And I remember the current CEO of Serena Hotels stepped in and said, oh, we know that guy. That guy has worked for us. That was a mistake, and we're going to fix that story.
How cool is that? Did they fix it?
They did.
How absolutely cool is that? And then, you know, sometimes brand authenticity is just about acknowledging a problem happened. Yeah, even if you were not there, there was a problem. Here is a fix. We are sorry. We will make sure it doesn't happen again. And communicating that to your consumers.
Yeah, and I never saw that story in the media again, imagine, in my entire
Yeah, because
life.
when you've solved it, I mean, do we continue talking about something that's been fixed? See, we focus on the things that have not been fixed.
Yeah, and also on that, now we can discuss some key things, key events in the country that you also called out, or you actually discussed online, that I think is also good to have on record.
Okay.
And one of them was this event that was happening at KICC, that they knew that it was going to rain, and then they decided, hey, it was called what?
No, it was the Johnny Walker event in Kasarani.
In Kasarani. So share your experience about that, and where they missed the mark, and how they will have been authentic to the audiences, to the audience they invited to join them for an event they did not sign up for.
So just to give context, first I'll tell you about the venue and explain. So this previous event had been handled at Uhuru Gardens. And for those who have been to Uhuru Gardens, I think now because of the management, it's run by the armed forces, security is absolutely tight. And maybe that's why it's become so popular to the point of it's getting overbooked. And so the move to Kasarani, I see, was to get closer to the people. You know, that's a good move. I wish I could move to where my customers are all the time. It's a good thing. But now in the absence of that, I mean, it means then if you're moving to a situation that for you is not always known, you have to heavily invest in security, because what you had at Uhuru Gardens, chances are you need to replicate it.
Yeah.
So the first issue that this brand experienced was an overstampede. Yeah, you take it to a place that is now more accessible. You've brought it to the people. So people I have a feeling they didn't anticipate that. You know, Kenyans are very last minute. So tutabai kwa gate. I genuinely feel for a premium brand, you can sell a limited edition and say there are only 3,000 tickets available. If they all sell out before the event, cheers.
Yeah,
right? You lock it down. Let people hear about how cool the event was, and for fear of missing out next time, they'll pay earlier. So that was issue number one. So now the security was not able to handle the stampede of people who wanted to come in and pay at the gate. Issue number two, you now risk people running on top of each other.
Oh my God.
We are lucky there was no big injury, but there were injuries. So what happened to them? Were they compensated? Or see no evil, hear no evil? I don't know. Then now, it was, the rains had been forecasted. I know Kenyans, usually when the Kenya government agencies responsible to telling us about weather and when the floods are coming, the rains are coming, usually, of course it's a prediction based on some level of science and calculation, right? Whatever they say sometimes doesn't always pan out. But 2 weeks before, they had said the rains are coming on those specific days. So as a team, you have an outdoor event. This thing has found you. What do? How do you prepare? I've been to festivals. I've been to a festival in Germany a long time ago, and it was in the rain, but it was planned. In fact, the communication was bring a raincoat and gumboots because it's gonna rain, right? And for them, at that point, I think that was what was happening then. Outdoor events where you experienced full elements of the weather, but this one didn't. How did you plan? Did you plan to say, okay, it was outdoor, how do I make this thing have an indoor covered experience in the limited time I have? That is what is called being a brand that's authentic. You play out every little thing that can go wrong, and then you plan for that eventuality. And this is what I was saying, money. You have to put your money where your mouth is, right? If I'm paying for a ticket worth 3,000 shillings, in my mind, that's a lot of money for me to, and it's not just 3,000. I've taken the Uber or the Little to come to your event. I'll take one to go back. That's easily another 2,000 shillings. Yeah. I've dressed up, I've put on my makeup, I've brought new clothes. I'm going to buy food, right? I'm going to buy food. So we have to stop being so myopic and think of the consumer from end to end. And this is one of the reasons I absolutely love my former boss and friend. Okay, she's not former friend, she's my friend, Zahida Suleiman.
Oh, wow.
Zahida and her team.
Yeah.
When there is an event, my friend, that event will be covered from the bottom to the top. They will think of every eventuality. Security will sweep that event 1 month before, 3 weeks before, 2 weeks before, 2 days before, and on the day, and till the end. That's her level of planning. Stage flow, stage plan.
Yeah.
Boys to men. Tulileta boys to men hapa bana. Tukawaangusha na sound.
Should we sing the end of the road part?
Yeah. Oh, we've come to the end of the road. Right? Yeah. Easy shortcut ni culture iache.
So I think I inboxed, we're going to talk Zaida on this. Zaida, we not plan to discuss this here, but hey, because you're doing a great job, why not? So I inboxed Zaida, and I told Zaida, I want to have you on the podcast, because the manner in which, I think I should even read it here.
Yes.
I told Zaida, the manner in which she does event is one of the best moments. Like, I've never seen someone does events like that in my entire life. I'm in my 30s now, and every time I go to an event, I always think, if I'm going to cover an event as a photographer or a storyteller, I always think, what if Zaida was here?
Exactly.
Like a photographer, I'll have gotten my tags 3 days to the event.
Not on the day of.
Not on the day of.
And when you call on the day, no one is picking your calls. You can't enter.
No. It's actually emailed or sent to the office, and by the time you get to the event, even the security guys are aware that these are crew people and this is their way. They need to be here. Oh goodness, bless you, Zaida. We didn't plan to discuss you.
Yes, we absolutely love you. So it's to say we need more of those.
Yeah.
And we also need to be able to spend, because the team can create for you beautiful executions. But if you come and now start saying, I'll give a bad example. Let's say it's an event, you have hired a security firm. Wakuja wakwambie, hey event, we have a lot of pickpockets. And for us to counter pickpockets who will enter from the fence or wherever, we want 20 dogs, okay? Those 20 dogs have people who've been manned, right? I also need 500 soldiers, foot soldiers, to cover us, who are armed. Police maybe. You come back and say, 20 dogs, no, 5. Or 100. Let me ask. So you'll save at what cost? I understand managing costs.
It's
there has to be a
important.
place where, of course, it's not overly insane because you also have some revenue targets. But let the experts guide you and tell you. Or if an expert tells you that's not the right location, are you willing to move it?
Yeah, I mean, let's discuss that because let me also bring in that. Then we've done jazz festival previously by the Green Brand, okay? And during those days, I never had a security issues even with my cameras. There was nowhere I would say, oh, now I'm leaving at, let's say it ends at around 10 or 9. I don't know how I'm going to access my car. There was security. So when you're discussing about proper detailed planning, I think it underscores the importance of having details and then managing particular costs to ensure that is still well done.
That it's funded for. So it's really just to say, did you see the Chris Brown concert?
In South Africa.
Hey, you know, I sat down, we can't pull that off.
We can.
Which event promoter will pull that off? Wacha tu tuseme kweli, hata uliza James.
Jemo.
Unasema tunaweza leta Beyonce na Jay-Z hapa na tutakuwa sawa.
Jemo,
or even Floyd Mayweather.
Let's say we have like 5 senior people, 5 people like our good friend
yes. Who can do?
Who can?
We can.
We can. I think we can.
Yes, we can.
But now
we have to invest.
That's what you are saying. So if you say we cannot, Jemo bana. Kwani sisi
bana wa Kenya na shortcut man. Bwana hata Beyonce tutamwekea stage hapo atoke kama ameanguka zi. I saw the Chris Brown concert and I said, and if you look at the TikTok mentions, people were saying the experience was so good. From the parking lot, there was security that escorted you into the event because, please, let's not lie. I say it's not the best when it comes to security. They also have their own issues, challenges. Guys were like, Yani, they didn't lose phones, yeah? And then, of course, now it came back to, from what I learned, the Chris Brown work ethic filters down to his entire team. Before he does a tour, he's very clear. What is the experience for every city I'm going for and what are we delivering? Somebody told me, chances are if this was a Drake, haingekuwa hivyo.
God's plan.
I'm saying Team Kendrick over here, Team Kendrick.
But you're talking about Chris Brown. Chris Brown was in Kenya the other day and he went to Mombasa.
You need to find out what happened with that. You need to find out what happened with that event.
Write down in the comment what happened.
With what were they? What was said?
How was the brand?
Tu walikuwa na bebo hapo karibu kufikishwa chuda kuibiwa masimu. At Mombasa Sports Club, yes?
Yeah. And people of new corporates branded that event like, hey. And even there was claims that it was paid 300 million.
Ask yourself why he has not come back. We have to get better.
So what this conversation is very interesting. But what do you think are some of the major trends now that now people need to adapt to? There is the AI era. In the era of AI and brand authenticity, what's your approach about that?
You need to go back to what your brand purpose and brand values are. So I'll say as an example, if your brand purpose, the brand purpose for the green brand is transforming lives, okay? So if you're transforming lives through the power of your network, it's supposed to live through in everything you do. The kind of people you employ, of course, and your suppliers. One of the ways you transform lives is giving them access to credit, getting them paid on time. So kuka na invoice, for example, for 130 days.
We need to discuss. Can we discuss that?
Okay, just send a calendar. I will come any day. So when you say what's my brand purpose and my brand values, right? When you look at AI, you need to now look and say, if I invest in AI, yes, I will gain maybe savings, but am I transforming? What am I doing to the sector of the content creator community that I've already established who rely on my income? How can I maybe, instead of taking away jobs from them and saying, I'm telling my team now to use Midjourney on their billboards for all artworks, can I then instead say, can my content creators who I've already hired and employed, who I call for work, right? All my photographers, all my drone people, all my podcast producers, can I work with them to infuse AI into what they already have to power and fuel their creativity? Because it marries my brand transformation strategy. That's it. Once you do those, imagine the answer will come. So if my brand purpose is, I want, and this I saw with Dove. Dove's brand purpose is to celebrate everyday beauty. So for Dove, they say this manner of whitewashing images to the point where you photoshopped somebody so much they don't even look like themselves. No, they say we photograph real women, plus size like Klaire, Black American, yeah, Filipino, right, South African. That's for them real beauty. They came up with a stand to say we will never use AI as a company to represent Dove products. That's a stand.
Yeah.
Because you're saying if I use AI that way, it means I'll never show real beauty. What is real about AI? Isn't it all a figment of somebody's imagination? That's it. So go back to why are you here? Why is your brand here? And then use whatever it is that is modern and trendy that is coming at you. If you need to adapt it to what your brand is. Otherwise, people will come for you. That is why when we saw billboards, people with 6 fingers, and you say you transform lives, oh man, no. No.
Jemo is our producer and is really laughing at the back there. But equally, Claire, over and above that, like what do you see is likely to be the future of brand authenticity, you know?
The future of brand authenticity it will now be absolutely more tested, yeah? And I'm saying this with a lot of love. Where we're going with, and I was saying there's so much, we're going through such a cultural shift. I don't know if you can feel it, even globally. Even with the Trump win, that's such a huge global shift because it impacts how they view democracy across the rest of the world, right? Because of that Trump win. There's going to be a lot of access to more misinformation because the right wing and the left wing, everyone wants their messaging done, right? There's media outlets that have already been divided down the line that are, we are for Republicans, so we'll only push Republican message, we are Democrat. Let me tell you, so much. So the consumer is going to now continuously be, I use the word cynicism, more cynical, meaning trust. Before I trust you with my money, you're going to have to put in a lot of work. Yeah. Can you imagine buying brand Dettol, which is supposed to protect you and your household, and it doesn't do what it's supposed to do? Mshinange tu kona flus na viral infection. But and then you go back and find out it's brand Dettol that did not deliver. As a bad example, how would you feel? So you will drop it. Yeah. You will look for an equivalent to that. Yeah. So brands is to say, I don't think it's about the future. What you're seeing now will just be more amplified. Yeah. Yeah, if I can make noise on TikTok, anyone is a content creator now. Fine, I love the content creators who have 1 million, 500,000 followers. But now, kwanza with the TikTok algorithm,
let's talk about
everyone.
Let's talk about also that on the trends, also probably the future, because I have a friend who bought a makeup product from a very popular brand here in the country, and I remember he went on TikTok because those guys were selling products. You see the way we do as at a flash sale. So remember they are selling something that's about to expire in 3 or 2 weeks, and they hope that because you're rushing for it, you want to use it faster. So this person realizes that these guys are selling expired products to us, and I've used this product for more than 10 years.
Yes.
And they've been thanking it since time immemorial.
No,
but
they're
now why are they selling this product?
No.
So my friend went on TikTok and blasted this big brand, you know, and this big brand responded and said, we are sorry about that. The guy the lady took in the sorry, but still said, even if you are sorry, but you knew you were selling.
They didn't do a we want to replace what you have, or we want to refund your money and
But
give you our product for free.
They did that, but still, when you're discussing brand authenticity, Claire, you knew you're selling me this product and it was expired.
So
even if you give me those offers, if I didn't come out and discuss
who would
this,
have known? Yeah,
who would have known? And how do you know that? How about my long-term effects, just in case on my skin? What if I got a ban?
Yeah.
Will you be replacing it?
Yeah.
So the authenticity in that space. Talk about brand authenticity. Why?
Authenticity. It's a lake.
Yeah.
It's the lake we represent.
We represent the lake always, like from day one. Siku zote. It's been the lake since day one.
Yeah. So in that way, I hear you.
Yeah.
They should have. And it's what I was saying. First of all, shortcuts. Mimi, wacha nikwambie, we have a problem in this country. And the one way to kill this problem is if there are Stevens and Claires in this world who are actively championing wherever it is. Somebody in that team must have known this. Why didn't they speak up? Or if we speak up, we lose our jobs. Okay, you lose the job, fine, let's take them on. Let's take them to the labor court, because why are they? You're fighting for a consumer right. I think what needs to happen, and I am addressing the consumer, they're called who? Consumer Federation of Kenya?
Yeah, the CF.
Consumer Watchdog.
COFEC, yeah.
That one. Consumer watchdogism in this country has to multiply by tenfold. There needs to be fines and liabilities for things like this. Because let's say that product, let's say that whoever it is, that company, was fined 1 million shillings. You think they'd ever repeat that?
No.
Now, because we've tried everything, we hope that you've employed the right people who will do the right thing by your consumer. Oh, that's not working, let's show you. Let's do the right thing. As a watchdog, clamp you down financially. There are reasons. I've seen in South Africa, it's one of the craziest watchdog communities in the world. You know, the communications authority there fine telcos when there's a downtime.
Oh, wow.
I see.
Oh, God.
Ati Kenyans are trying to call each other, nini, or South Africa. Kuna fine, slap fine, $10,000, $300,000. Wait, you're making the revenue to be paying fines? No. We have to get to that level because everything else is not working.
Yeah. And talking of that, Jemo, do you think Jemo is also a producer? Yeah, we keep referring to him.
Yes.
But do you think that we'll get to a space where we can equally say there was power outage in this country, so we're gonna fine you for that? The Consumer Federation of Kenya comes and says that is what we're gonna do. We're gonna fine you anytime there's a power outage in the country. Mnalipa consumers.
Yeah.
Refund hizo tokens zimeenda.
Yeah.
You know.
Class action lawsuits.
Yeah.
Have not historically done well in this country because inafikanga mahali juris pesa inaingia, somebody corrupts the judiciary system or the lawyers, and so then cases drag out or they just disappear and there's no follow through. But with aggressive cynicism and low and very high mistrust, which then breeds low trust, consumers are going to expect so much more from a brand. And I see now with the power that we have seen from just communicating to say, reject Finance Bill 2024, do you know what it's done? It's united us against tribe and class. Now that's usually the first thing you need for a class law action suit to start. Power in numbers. So if 1 million customers all form a WhatsApp group as a bad idea, of course it's not possible. 1 million customers all say we're taking that power company to court because this outage has cost us X amount of money, and the judiciary works, goes to the Supreme Court, and they are fined and pay these people. Let me tell you, things will change. Because now it's about, remember what I said, reputation before revenue, which was Bob's Class Act. It's Gava, but doesn't exempt them from honoring a lawsuit. I said, but to your point, will they pay? You see, those are the things now. Shortcuts, yani.
The authenticity that comes with it. I think I'm even learning. Oh, goodness. This is a very good, big topic, Claire, that I even think probably before I let you go, is to discuss a little bit of friendship, authenticity in friendship.
Oh.
You know, Because until you also have that, that's where I think we discussed.
Yeah.
It starts from there.
Yeah.
You have a friend who's authentic with you,
Yes.
then you know you can hold him as a brand continuously. So also, how do you just answer the question?
So how to navigate authenticity in friendships? It's not easy, and not everyone gets it. Even I absolutely fumble. One of the things that my father has taught me is be true to yourself, because once you are, regardless of whichever environment, whether you've been planted here ama umepelekwa Saudia ufanye kazi ama Europe, it will never change. Don't be usiyumbayumbe, kwa sababu watu ambao wanayumbayumba are easily influenced, and then their authenticity declines and they find themselves in equal trouble. So one is always please look for just people who have your brand values, because if they don't, you will struggle. You will really struggle. Is if one of your friends is very deep in debauchery, unajua utajipata tu kwa hiyo debauchery. You know, everyone talks about the girl Mercy Kano who was killed. To this day, her death has never been answered.
Yeah.
But she was in a group of friends. How did they let one person go missing and disappearing? I'm not blaming them. The blame falls squarely on whoever killed her. How as a friend, if me and you have gone for a party, I promise you, hata hiyo event ya sijui tunaenda kuwatch Burna Boy yenye inakam, I will not let you go out of my sight.
Yeah.
I am responsible for you, and you are equally responsible for me. So get people who are aligned with your brand values, because if they're not, mtakuwa tu mna clash na ita present an opportunity for the devil to thrive. 3. As we grow older, you will learn, I'm about to turn 40, that the people you started off with are not the ones that will get you to your journey. Unfortunately for me, I have always been the good one, and that's hard. The good one who's always there for their friends and family. If there's a baby shower to be planned, turn on Klaire the Brand Titan. She will rally people, right, to give you a good experience. I'll make sure everyone contributes on time, make sure all the gifts are done in time, make sure everyone is present on time. It's just who I am. But unfortunately, you now start weighing, I've done so much for people, I don't expect the equivalent, but I expect that you also continue communicating with me. So if you're not authentic in that way, shut down. I pray for you, but that's it. It means our friendship has reached a level when we now have to part. So continue the same way you reflect on work and the podcast that you've done such amazing work for. I am certain you can reflect on other people I have working for me or not. And maybe even you are not the one working for them. Maybe you're not available on calls for them. It's okay. Maybe that friendship has been severed on your end. It's okay to take stock and say, hey, wait, this person means a lot to me. Let me recover.
That's so deep. Man.
I learned yesterday from my good friend Dipesh. Hi Dipesh, I'll make you watch all of this unedited. He said someone close to him called Sally taught him that no is also a full sentence. Do you know how powerful that is? Sasa sisi wa Kenya, who taught us to say no? Nobody. In 844, if a teacher tells you this assignment, it's a bad example, needs to be handed over by Monday, would you ever have said no?
No.
We've been taught to conform. We have to learn how to actively say no and not to feel guilty about the no.
I've listened to you and it reminded to me, sorry about my tone is down because I was getting a bit emotional with what you have said. I was listening, I was covering another high profile event, and there were some people who come to the country, they're visiting these high profile people. And it was like a fellowship.
Yeah.
So these guys came and they sat down and they discussed everything they're supposed to discuss. And then this person says, you know, when I used to grow up, when I was young, my mom used to ask me, who are your friends? Okay? And when he transitioned to adulthood, his father asked him, who are your friends? He's married now. And the question the wife asks him, who are your friends? He has kids. The question his father is still asking the grandkids is, who are your friends? So in the end, friends define your authenticity. They define you as a brand.
Yeah.
And they define how your future is shaping. And that thing has stayed with me till today. And I've asked myself over and over.
So I'll say my North Star that's helped me get here, and I'm not entirely too good with it also, is my relationship with Jesus. There's been a Hollywooding of Jesus, that he was kind and warm. I mean, he was all those things. He's God's version coming down in human form to experience the world and save us, right, through his journey towards the end. But people forget, Jesus was absolutely combative.
Yeah.
He used to take on the Pharisees and the Sadducees who were trying to always corner him, right? Oh, show us, are you really supposed to work on a Sunday and the Sabbath day? Like, what do you mean? So we don't look for food because it's a Sabbath. Where did you get that from? He absolutely challenged the status quo, right? And that is what also led to his death and resurrection.
Yeah.
He also kicked people out of the temple. People forget. What does that mean? He was not kicking out business people. He was saying no. If you go back to the Bible, back in the day, they were called non-Gentiles or Gentiles who are not
Gentiles
of the Hebrew lineage, who are not allowed to enter the main sanctuary. All right? So the temple was open for them to come and fellowship around there. So tuseme tu kama sahi, kama kuna temple fulani, it means outside and the gates is reserved for those people because they can't enter inside because they're not of that lineage. He was saying, you've made this a marketplace, so it means people can't come to fellowship. Get out. He was not saying get out to the businesses. He's not saying Christians shouldn't work. He's saying no to corruption that has allowed for this to happen, that you've exchanged a few coins of silver to take up this space, but our people cannot fellowship. Let me tell you, be like Jesus, you'll be just fine.
Amen. Amen.
You'll be just fine.
I mean, I think if I say we are not ending this podcast now, will be an injustice.
Brand Titan is happy to oblige. Just lock my calendar like you've done. I want to just say thank you for bearing with me, and it's been hard to find me, but now I'm a bit more available because I want to share my stories and tell my stories to the world.
So you're coming again for another podcast?
All day, any day. Just book me in advance.
Okay.
Shower.
Thank you for coming.
Good.
Good to see you.
So you need to do a one-liner.
Okay. This is a big joke with Jemo. Jemo understands this better, so Jemo don't laugh. So anyway. How do you call, someone who likes staying in the house?
A humbug.
No.
What?
Modoanyoba.
I walked right into that one. Well done. Modoa house.
One more.
All right.
Jemo, you're not throwing one more.
Please throw us one.
Nikiwa na njaa alafu kuna do. Mimi naenda kwa boda na manga.
I love your community here. So I'll be coming back for this only, by the way. The manga was just chilling. If it could come like, hey, why you?
But for those people who didn't hear what Jebo said, so that I'm more on sound,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Jebo said that nikiwa na do. Nikiwa na do. Alafu nikiwa na njaa. Muenda na manga.
Niko kwa boda.
Muenda kwa boda na manga.
We are only talking about food, guys. But thank you so much. This is Klaire the Brand Titan. Please follow me on Klaire Muriithi, the Brand Titan on LinkedIn. It's the only platform where I share my insights on brand building and making brands in Africa just much better than they are now.
We'll place Klaire's...
Hey, who's Klaire? Who's Leia?
Claire is a friend of mine. Claire Kanda.
Hi,
See what
Claire.
you're doing to me.
How
Hi,
are you?
Claire. We'll place Claire's
Handle.
handle, not handout. Hey,
Handle.
Okay.
Modo wa nyumba.
We'll place Claire
Yeah.
handle down
On the screen.
on the screen, and then you can be able to follow her. Follow her. She'll just love what she says. She's authentic as she is online. So there's no filters. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being with us. Probably
Yes.
you have one last thing you wanna say.
I believe that African brands can do much, much more. We live in a time where local brands can actually take on global brands, right? I'd hope to see a cola that outshines Coca-Cola and Pepsi that is locally made. I know that work has begun in Kenya with Club Soda. Please send money for this advertising to this amazing chap. But it's just to say African brands can get to the level that global brands have been there. And all we need to do is put in the work. So be vulnerable, right? Put in the money behind the investment, serve your customers, and they will follow you. Build on your brand reputation, and your revenue will come.
And above everything, be authentic.
Be absolutely authentic. It's not like a costume like for Superman you put on, save the hero, save the people, be the hero and put it down. You have to be Superman all the time, which is tough but possible.
It can be done.
Disney has done it, Patagonia has done it. There are brands that have done it, so why not do it? Dettol have done it, so why not do it?
Let's do it.
Eh? Let's.
Thank you so much Claire, for coming. That was the SOP podcast. Please subscribe, comment, and share. We're going to share more. Claire's agreed to join the podcast for more crazy episodes coming ahead. So be sure we'll be here to discuss everything and anything that is brand and brand engagement, anything branding, anything company oriented.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.